Don't be shy, 'cause life won't bring you down too far.
Razabani for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. With me on this sunny day, my man Matthew Macklin. Matt, how are we doing?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. The sun's out today. We've had a few days of rain in the south. How's the weather there at the moment?
Yeah, no, lovely day. Same things, but I've never seen rain like it the last few days. But luckily, the sun is shining today.
Matt, I know a couple of the other members of the team caught up with you during lockdown. I personally didn't speak to you over the last couple of months, but just a quick question on how the last few months without boxing and life really been for you.
It's been okay. You know, I've used the time to get fit.
I saw that actually on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, I've you know, the last few years have been so busy and hectic and traveling in a way. It's been difficult to get routine and structure where I can be consistent with the training. But because we've had obviously some downtime, and I've been pretty busy. Don't get me wrong, Sky, we've been busy doing a lot of stuff with the digital platforms, the social media content, etc. But I have had more time. I've been in routine. I've had structure, so I've been able to get fit.
Good to hear. Maybe I know Oscar De La Hoya announced a comeback. You never know, Matthew.
No, no, definitely not. This is just pure health and fitness. That's it.
I know you thought Triple G or Canelo was looking for an opponent.
Yeah.
Matt, boxing returned a number of weeks ago. We saw Frank Warren go first. We've seen Top Rank in America. PBC yet to go in a couple of weeks. Well, next week, I think. PBC with Sean Porter. Matchroom is the last one. Fight Camp, number 4, headlined by Dillian Whyte. Before we speak about the event itself, glad that boxing is back.
Oh, absolutely. It's and you know, I think we all are, aren't we? Let's be honest. We were starved of it there for a few months, nothing happening. So it was great to get back to the live action. And you know, obviously, I work for Sky, but it's great to see everyone. BT, Frank Warren, Top Rank in America. They've got their bubble in Vegas. I think PBC are about to get going. Golden Boy are looking to as well. So, you know, it's been great for everyone. But you know, obviously, I work for Sky, so I've been covering the Matchroom shows, and Fight Camp's been brilliant. Every single week, they've been really good shows.
In terms of obviously the setup itself, Eddie couldn't have got it much better, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's look, every BT in the studio. They went to your call, I think, there on last Saturday. But listen, it's hard to beat Eddie's garden there at the Matchroom Square Garden. We've called it Matchroom Square Garden. But you know, what a setting, what a house, and you know, open air. And luckily, we've had the weather. The weather's been good. So yeah, we've been lucky. And like I say, there's been some great sort of domestic clashes, some real 50-50 type fights, and some close fights. Bit of, you know, controversy, maybe some people on the decisions, but I don't think there's been any bad decisions. I think there's been close decisions, and they could have gone either way, depending which you prefer. You know, is it the quantity or the quality of shots? But no, listen, those fights where people are split down the middle, you know, it was a good fight.
Absolutely. Let's jump right into it. It's a big fight this weekend. There's a lot on the line this weekend. Dillian Whyte, Alexander Povetkin did the press conference today. I don't know if you managed to watch the press conference today. Dillian Whyte obviously looks a lot more trim from his last outing. But there's a lot on the line here for Dillian Whyte, isn't there?
Yeah, massive. I mean, there's ever since, I don't know, way back, I think even before he fought Chisora that time in the December, not the initial, not the first fight, the second one, we were thinking, you know, is he going to sit on his rating, sit on his ranking and just wait for his shot? But he hasn't. He stayed active, he stayed busy, and he took, you know, really hard fights one after the other. But it's and you could say that he's gambling, you know, but I think Dillian is someone that, because of his sort of lack of amateur pedigree, I know he came through the kickboxing where he's a tough guy, he's a warrior, but he's got better. And I think these fights, even though they've been hard fights, they've knocked him up. He's gone up a few notches each time. So, look, in hindsight, I think he was right, and he's been vindicated by his decision to stay busy and to take risky fights one after the other. I mean, you wonder When has he bitten off one too many? Is this Saturday night against Povetkin? I don't think so. I think it'd be too much for Povetkin. Certainly at this stage in Povetkin's career, where Dillian is as well. But surely he gets his shot after this.
If you're Dylan Whyte, do you advise him to take on Povetkin, or do you tell him, look, you're not far now. You're 6-7 months away from having your shot. Yeah, we know it may not be February 21. It may be March, April, May, but you're so close. It's not worth the risk.
No, I think because of where he's at, I think he's someone that he just thinks, nah, when I'm busy and I'm fighting and I'm active and I'm in the gym, I'm better. And actually having, you see it all the time, people having these stay busy fights and they end up being a banana skin, because what happens is, on a stay busy fight, the guy who's meant to win comes down a few levels, and the guy who sees this as an opportunity goes up a few levels. And what should have been, we've seen it with John O'Carroll the weekend. No disrespect to Hughes, but John O'Carroll would say he's a better fighter. And in terms of where he's at in his career, you would have expected John O'Carroll to win that fight and to move on to bigger and better things. But he didn't really perform. He struggled to get going. And of course, his opponent boxed out of his skin. And that's what happens. That's why, these stay busy fights can be disastrous, really. Where I think once you get to a certain level, I think you just got to stay there. And that means taking risky fights, but that'll make you perform to your best of your ability. And that's what Dillian's done. Instead of taking an easy fight and underperforming and losing to someone he shouldn't have, he's chose to go in there and take the risk time and time again. But in doing that, it's meant that he's performed to the best of his ability. All right, last fight he didn't perform great, and that was, again, Mario, another fight that you'd have said on paper, oh, Dillian should stop this guy, or he'll win easily. No, he did. He won clearly, but he certainly performed well below par. Now, of course, he had all the stuff outside of the ring going on, which would have been mentally draining, and also, he was probably a stone heavier than what he should have been. But he got the win, and look, tick the box, and we're moving on. But back to my point, by taking these fights with Chisora, the rematch, Povetkin, Oscar Rivas, he's stayed sharp. And not only has he stayed sharp, he's got better and improved. So when he does get his shot, which hopefully will be after this, he'll be in a good position.
We know Povetkin has been in there with Klitschko and Anthony Joshua, hasn't won a world title yet. So he's had these opportunities. Is this the last chance for him? And does he see this as, I beat Whyte, I could potentially go and fight the winner of Fury Wilder, potentially, that if the WBC approve. I'm not sure if he automatically gets that shot, but potentially puts himself in line for a big, big payday.
Oh, Povetkin's already proven. Like you say, it's not about proving. He's probably, what's he got left? That's the question. And it's a difficult one, that, because he drew last time out with Michael Hunter. He got put down in the first round. Came back into the fight, and it was a draw. He beat Hughie Fury earlier in the year. He's 40 years old. He's on the decline. He's not the fighter he was, but he's definitely not shot to pieces. There is still life left in him. How much life? Don't know. We'll see on Saturday night, but he's still dangerous. He's still one of the better fighters that Dillian will have faced. All right, maybe he's not in his peak now. He's 40 years old, but he's still a top fighter. He's still, like I said, he beat Hughie Fury. He drew with Michael Hunter. He's still a top-rated heavyweight fighter. So Dillian can't sleep on him. He has to, Dillian has to stay sharp. He has to be focused. He has to approach this fight with the same sort of focus and mental preparation that he would anyone. Povetkin's not somebody you can take lightly, that's for sure.
We know Whyte's made some changes in his team. He's been out in Portugal for the last 5 months, got himself in the best possible shape he can. I know he's brought in Ruben Tabares, who's a renowned strength and conditioning coach. He's brought in Xavier, who's his main coach, and obviously now, I think announced 2 days ago, was Dave Caldwell. Come out as a surprise?
I don't think so. I think, look, Xavier is someone he's already familiar with. He's part of his team. He has that relationship. Okay, when we talk about the fights and we talk about Dillian's camp, we credit Mark Tibbs because Mark's the chief second, has been the chief second. He's the guy in the corner. He's someone we know, and that's what we see. But we don't know what goes on every single day in the gym. We don't know what goes on, for 10 weeks in the camp. We're just taking it at face value. I don't know all the logistical issues. Of course, COVID and all the rest of it. Who knows? But obviously, Dillian is comfortable in the gym with Xavier. I think the inclusion of Dave Caldwell's a good thing. I think Dave will probably just be there as an experienced old wise head, just to oversee in case. I'm sure it's kind of going to be left to Xavier. He's the guy who's been with Dillian day in, day out for the last however many weeks, and he knows him. He's been in camp with him. But I think it's a smart move. You know, it'll be his first probably time in that level, in the spotlight where the kind of pressure's on him. So having someone like a Dave Caldwell there that, knows his place, he's not going to try and, come in and take over, but he's just there to oversee and help out if needed. And I think that's an intelligent move.
What do you make of the diamond belt? Too many sanctioning bodies bring out too many random belts when they feel like it. Is it a prestigious belt, or is it just another belt for the governing body to get more sanctioning fees?
It's just another belt that means absolutely nothing, but the sanction fee can charge a load of money. Absolute bullshit, really. What is it? But the bottom line is it's the fighters that make the fights. Povetkin's, definitely a top-class heavyweight. Dillian's one of the top heavyweights in the world, certainly top 5. And it's a good fight. That's really what it is. In terms of belts and all that, I don't even think anyone cares. Diamond belt or mandatory or interim, whatever. Mandatory. Dillian does need to get his shot. It's kind of outrageous and unlucky that he hasn't. But I'm pretty sure I'd be surprised if he doesn't get it after this. I really would.
Surprised from the Fury Wilder.
It's kind of took the piss that it's dragged out this long, but things happen, don't they? Like, Fury Wilder, the rematch clause, things do happen. And he's been unlucky. The thing with the Oscar Rivas, the UCAD situation, he got stripped. That dragged a lot of things out. That was bad luck. But I do think that he will get his shot after this.
Do you expect Fury to give him that shot? I.e., would Fury rather vacate than fight Whyte? I know that WBC has said now, and in other interviews, Eddie Hearn has said that Fury will not be elevated to franchise champion. That's something that Bob Arum was calling for, to elevate Fury to franchise. So that's not going to happen. Sorry, Matt, these words didn't exist in your days, franchise. But what does Fury do?
No, I think if the Joshua fight can get made, then I think he'll just go straight into that. But that's a funny one because you've got Eddie Hearn, who's representing Dillian, trying to negotiate the fight with Fury, but he's also negotiating. Eddie negotiating the Joshua Fury fight, but the thing that could sort of stop that is Dillian's mandatory shot, which obviously is due and Eddie wants him to get. But at the same time, he wants, Joshua to fight Fury. So that could be an awkward situation, probably for Eddie more than anyone.
And Matt, do you think how long can we continue these events for? I know Fight Camp ends this weekend. Eddie has said he's got some extravagant plans over September, but how long can we go on for without fans in the arenas?
Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask the promoters. I mean, I'd imagine for them economically, it's been difficult. They're rolling the dice. They're gambling every time because fighters want to know what they're getting paid. So they're getting paid X amount. And I'm guessing Eddie's lost a fortune these last few weeks and probably hoping to pull some of that back with the pay-per-view. But he's not a short-sighted person, and neither is Frank Warren or any of these guys. And they realise they've got to breathe life back into their business, and they've got to get moving again. And if that means they take a bit of a hit early doors, but everyone gets out and things get moving, then these people, they're risk takers, and it's educated risks. So they're they've got to get things moving. I'd say it's been very difficult financially, but fair play to them. They're rolling the dice. They've got us back out there. From a fan's point of view, we're seeing good fights on the TV, but of course you can't beat being at a live show, and you can't beat that atmosphere from a crowd. Even if you're watching it on television, you do miss that atmosphere from the crowd.
Anthony Joshua's going to be in attendance. We know Tony Bellew is there as well. Dylan Whyte said that if Anthony Joshua comes towards me, I'm going to swing at him. Do them two need to settle dust as well?
Look, Andy Joshua beat Dillian Whyte when they fought. I think they've both improved loads since then. You could argue Dillian's improved more because he was quite raw back then. Do I think they'll fight again? Yeah, I think they probably will. You know, whatever happens with the WBC mandatory, you know, I think there's plenty of years left in both of those guys, and I think their paths will certainly cross somewhere down the line.
Matt Chief support Saturday night. It's a rematch. Taylor Pursuit. It's probably one of the greatest women's fight I've actually seen live. It was a hell of a fight. A lot of people had Katie losing that fight and called for a rematch. The rematch didn't happen immediately, but it is happening this Saturday night. Who's favourite?
Look, I think Katie's favourite. I think, but I think there are definitely people that think Pursuit is wrong for her. Is she wrong for her? Listen, she brings a lot of pressure. She brings a lot of heat. She's super determined. You know, her will to win is second to none. But I think Katie got dragged into her type of fight last time. I think she, no, don't get me wrong, Pursuit dragged her into that fight. So I don't want to take anything away from her. You've got to credit her for that. But I think Katie did make some mistakes that she shouldn't have. She backed up in straight lines. She pulled out instead of staying low on the way out. She didn't use her angles. And I think she let her, in a nutshell, I think she let her heart overrule her head. She got too emotional in the fight. You know, it was Madison Square Garden. The atmosphere was unreal. I think she got sucked in a little bit. I think this time she will look to box with a lot more discipline, you know, and stick to her tactics. You know, you have a game plan. You got to stick to it. Now, that's going to be easier said than done because Bassoon's going to try and not going to stop trying from the first bell to the last to drag her into another fight. So it's going to be an interesting battle, a very sort of a very tactical affair.
Matt, just finally, a couple of weeks ago, I think it's 2 weeks now, Frank Warren came out and put this lovely poster together on social media. On the top, I think it was Dillian Whyte, Dubois, Yard, Boazzi, Liam Smith, Andrade. The list goes on and on. Looks like Frank and Eddie have finally had a phone call, way overdue. Good for boxing?
Listen, I don't think those fights are all going to happen. But if we got 2 or 3 of them, wouldn't it be great? Bottom line is, for there to be dialogue between Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn, that's a good thing. That can only be a good thing. Whether the fights get made or they don't get made, at least discussing and talking and trying to make the fights is a step in the right direction.
So you want to end on the Dillian Whyte Povetkin. Matt, what's your final prediction? What happens and how does the fight end?
I think Dillian wins. I think points or late stoppage. You can't write Povetkin off because you just can't. You know, like I said last year, he beat Hughie Fury. You got the draw with Michael Hunter. You know, you'd expect Dillian to beat both of those guys as well. So look, I think Dillian's one of the top heavyweights in the world now. I think he's in the form of his life. Povetkin isn't in the form of his life, and I think that Whyte definitely wins. Probably late stoppage, possibly points.
Late stoppage, possibly points. There you have it. Matthew, Macklin, always a pleasure. Thank you for popping on this afternoon on a sunny day. And let's hope we'll have a great night of boxing on Saturday night.
Cool.
Matt Macklin for IFL TV, thank you very much.
Cheers.